Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at PHP. We're going to be looking at this wonderful programming language that is vastly used. Most of us have used WordPress, a content management system, before to either develop our website or use it to learn our programming. And WordPress is built on PHP, and that is why PHP is so important that you know about it. When I started out programming, the language that was in vogue then was PHP. Everybody PHP, PHP. I was being trained on Java, but I had to quickly learn PHP because I needed to produce some stuffs. And the first website I did in PHP. So PHP is very easy for you to get going with and build out projects. Nowadays, PHP is so powerful because you have other resources like Laravel that will help you do very strong things in PHP. So PHP is very, very important. If you're going to be using WordPress and you want to learn how to use WordPress very well, not just inputting content into the WordPress, if you want to be able to change the WordPress to suit your basic need or any need you want, then you have to have some idea of PHP. If not, you're just going to just use WordPress just exactly the way they are. You want to make a powerful, if you want to start building your own plugins, your own themes, you need knowledge of PHP. And that is why we deem it important in Tclassified to at least introduce you to the basics of PHP, even though you're going to be using Python in doing most of the project that you want to do. But we want you to have an idea of PHP so that using PHP, you can learn a whole lot and do a whole lot of things. And to get us started today, we're going to just do a simple introduction to PHP. After the simple introduction, I'm going to tell you the resources that you need in order to run PHP. Then in subsequent classes, we can start writing code in PHP. So to get us going, I'm going to quickly share my screen. Anybody on earpiece, can you hear me? Who is connected? Ahmad, is it you? You can hear me on earpiece. Good. So the learning resources we are using is our online school, Tclassified.com. And once you get there, just click on blog. Once you click on the blog, you'll be led to the various books that we have, which we are using as our learning reference. So this is the online school. We did this, I think, yesterday, day before yesterday, machine learning, basic Django, basic Python, intro into Photoshop, WordPress class we did, JavaScript we did yesterday. So this is PHP. So I'm going to simply click on this PHP. Okay. So basic introduction. What is PHP? PHP is simply a scripting language just like JavaScript and Python. It's a server-side scripting language. But unlike C and Java, it gets interpreted just like Python is also interpreted. But these harder languages like C++ and Java, they get compiled. So I want you to get the difference between these two major classes of languages. Python, PHP, and JavaScript, they are all scripting languages. C++ and Java, they are languages that get compiled for them to run. Now, unlike JavaScript, which is executed on the web browser, PHP code is executed on the web server. So PHP is a server-side language. Very, very important. You need to note that PHP is a server-side language. The syntax of PHP is very close to that of Perl and C. In such case, variables are case sensitive. So when you have name in small letter, it does not mean name in capital letter. So variable names are case sensitive. But in PHP, function names are not. And statements must be terminated in semicolon in PHP. This is unlike in Python, where you don't need semicolon. In Python, you just use indentation. PHP code should be placed between tags. So I'm going to show you what PHP tag looks like. And if you want to see information about your PHP configuration, you can simply check it on the script that has PHP info on it. And the php.init file is the main configuration file for PHP. Now, very importantly, there are things you need for you to code in PHP. Three basic things that you need for you to code in PHP. Number one is what we call the Apache or MySQL server. The Apache MySQL server. In this class, what Apache stroke MySQL server are we using in this class? XAMPP. That's what we are using, isn't it? That does not mean that only XAMPP is Apache and MySQL server. There are other PHP servers that you can use. Example is WAMP. Example is AppServe. So you can use all these ones. But we are using XAMPP because XAMPP is very easy to use. It's very robust, very good. And that's what we've been using to learn WordPress. Can you see how WordPress has something to link up with PHP? For you to use WordPress, you have to install XAMPP, isn't it? Why are you installing XAMPP to use WordPress? Because WordPress is built on PHP. You understand? Without that XAMPP, the PHP in the WordPress will not work. And the WordPress is just basically PHP because PHP is what you use in building WordPress. So you're gonna see now, instead of just typing out your code and running in VS Code, every code you type, you must put it inside that HT docs in XAMPP server before PHP can be able to interpret it and run. If you're using PHP, it has to be inside that HT docs because everything that's inside the HT docs is run on the Apache server. So very, very important. You need to understand that. Then secondly, you need your editor, which is your notepad or your Word VS Code. In order for you to write the code, you definitely need that. Then thirdly, you need your browser to show what you've written. So you see the three things you need. If you're doing Python, do you need three things or two things? How many? Huh? Two, isn't it? You just need your browser and your editor. Same as JavaScript, your browser and your editor. But if you're doing PHP, you need a PHP interpreter that you can get with the Apache server. So make sure you have XAMPP if you're going to be running PHP. Very important. And we've already installed XAMPP. If you don't know where XAMPP is, just simply copy the XAMPP, go to your browser and put it in there, download the XAMPP and install it. If you're using XAMPP, you must open up the control panel and start up the Apache server and the MySQL server before you start working. This we've already done in our previous class when we learned about WordPress. So if you're not good with this, check out our video on WordPress. The first two videos will show you how to download and install XAMPP and move forward. Okay, so what are the examples of browsers that you need? You need Google Chrome or Safari or Edge, Microsoft Edge or Mozilla Firefox. You can use any of these browsers to work. Now, in writing PHP, how do you write a comment? Just similar to what we have in Python, you can have this or you can have this double slash, which is the most used comment style for PHP. And if it's a multi-line comment, you use / with hash, opening and closing. If you want to declare a variable in PHP, you must start it with the what? Can you see the $sign? That's how you start a variable. In Python, how do you declare a variable? You just write the name of the variable, isn't it? In JavaScript, how do you declare a variable? You use the keyword let, var, or const. But in PHP, how do you declare a variable? By simply starting with the $sign. So you see, all of them, they are very similar. You're going to see data types, but the syntax are different. The structure of all programming languages are similar, but their syntax are different. And that's why if you're intelligent enough to grab one programming language, extending your knowledge to other ones becomes easier. Especially if you're taught with a very difficult language like Java. I learned programming with Java. So that makes understanding other programming languages to me is so simple. I can read up a programming language in one day. The next day, if I'm teaching you, you think that I've been coding that language for so long. Because Java is more difficult, you understand? If you're declaring a variable, you have to state the type. You understand? And the syntax is a little bit more complex than what you have in other languages. Python is very, very simple. After Python in simplicity, we get JavaScript. After JavaScript, talk about PHP, then other languages. You understand? But in terms of being difficult, Java is more bogus and C. So if you learn with either Java and C, you're going to find out that learning all these other languages is going to be pretty easy because all of them have similar structure, but the syntaxes are different. You understand? So you see that you're doing almost the same thing, but using different syntax. If you're talking about conditional statement, if-else statement, all the programming languages have if-else statement. All of them have loops. All of them have the switch and all those things. All of them have function. If it is an object-oriented programming, it's going to have class and objects. Is that clear? But some now, when you want to declare their variable, that's where you get the difference. Is that clear? Another place you see differences is when you try to if you want to declare variables, you can get different there. Then which other place do you get more different? The variable types might not be exactly the same. In Python, what are the variable data types that we have? We have boolean, we have tuple, dictionary, and the rest. You understand? In JavaScript, the list for Python, we call it what? Array. You understand? So in this one, you're going to also see the data type that we have in PHP. So always start $sign and letter or underscore for variable names in PHP. Data types that we have are integers, doubles. What do you call double in Python? You can tell me what you call double in Python. Float. Double simply means number that has decimal, isn't it? Number that had decimal, that's what it means. So we call it float in Python. Here we call it double. So double are numbers with decimal. Then we have boolean, true or false. Do we have boolean in Python? Do we have boolean in JavaScript? Yes. We have boolean in all of them, isn't it? But the way they are written is different, isn't it? For Python, the true or false, the first letter starts with capital letter. But for JavaScript and PHP, they start with small letter. We also have other data types like null, strings, arrays, objects. And in PHP, variables do not have to be declared, neither do their data types. If you want to declare a variable in Java, you must declare that you must state the data type. Okay, variables have default value. If it's a number, integer is gonna be 0. That's the default. If it's a string, it's gonna be an empty string. If it's a boolean, it's gonna be default value is false. If it's an array, the default is an empty array. So all these are basics. So all variables have local scope. They are accessible only within the function block in which they are initialized. Global variables may only be accessed within a function by using the keyword, by using the global keyword. If you want it to be global, then you must put the global keyword. If not, it's going to see it as a local variable. Then under operators, just like we have operators in every language, you have your assignment operators, the equal to, you have other operators. You have your plus, minus, the arithmetic operators, the comparison operators, the logical. So we're going to be learning this when we start coding. But just know that basically all the things that are available for every programming language like we've learned, went into details of all these operators and data types for Python. Just know that similar thing applies to other languages. apart from the fact that the syntax, the way they are written, they differ, they vary. Okay. So I'm going to show us how we can, we're going to start writing codes immediately. And for us to write code, you need to have the required tools. And the tools that you need is one, editor, Notepad or VS Code. You have Notepad. Everybody here has Notepad, isn't it? And all of us here have VS Code, isn't it? The next thing is Google Chrome. Do everybody here have the Google Chrome? If you don't have Google Chrome, you have Internet Explorer. So the third and most important thing is the XAMPP server. So just type XAMPP. If you don't have XAMPP, I already have, and I know that my students already have. So you can see this place they wrote installer XAMPP. You click on it. So once you click on it, you're gonna see the link to install your XAMPP. So you can see it here. This, if you want to install for Windows, you use this. If you want for Linux, if your operating system is Linux, you use this. If you are using Mac OS, you use this. So click on any of them that you need, and get them downloaded, and double click and install them in your system. So once you do that, you're ready, so that when I start coding in PHP, you can follow up. Very simple and easy. So who can tell me what XAMPP stands for? Who can tell me what XAMPP stands for? Can you see it is written here? Somebody might ask you, what is the meaning of XAMPP that you're using? So XAMPP simply stands for, it's a cross-platform environment that has A, standing for what? Apache. M, standing for what? MariaDB. MariaDB is also MySQL. Then P standing for what? PHP, and the other P standing for Perl. You understand? The X simply means cross-platform. Are we together on that? So we say that XAMPP is the most popular PHP development environment. It's not the only environment that you can use to run PHP, like I said. You can use WAMP, you can use App Server. Some of them can do similar function for you. But XAMPP is so good because when I was teaching PHP, there was a company I worked with before being on my own. So my job there was basically traveling to teach website design and teach computer. You understand? So when I started out, I didn't know about XAMPP. So I was using WAMP then. WAMP, I was taught with WAMP. So like I knew more about WAMP server. So I found out that when I go to train in a class of like 50 people, you try to install WAMP in their system. Some of their systems will not be working. When you now go to localhost, instead of seeing that localhost, my PHP, my admin, and all those things, you will not see it. You understand? So there was always configuration problem. So when I learned about App Server was very easy. You understand? Only that you always need to put password when you're creating your database for your MySQL. So I started using App Server. So when I started using App Server, I was having if I have a class of 50, I might have like 4 people system not working. You understand? So I was having like 90% of my class having everything working. So the rest of the 10 will be having issues. It's either I have to go to their system and sit for a long time trying to troubleshoot and sort out the issue before everybody can work. Is that clear? So when I now learned about XAMPP server, immediately after talking about installation, everybody's system works immediately. So I don't need to like go sit in your system and try to make your PHP work again. That's why when I looked at the 3 of them, I picked XAMPP because XAMPP is more effective. It causes less stress. And that's why we're going to be using XAMPP to run our PHP. And you know that if you're going to be hosting your site, once you pay for web hosting, your web hosting already has these Apache server built in. You understand? So you don't need XAMPP again. Your hosting, just like similar thing we did when we were doing our WordPress website. Is that clear? If you're developing your WordPress locally on your system, you need XAMPP. You understand? But when you pay a hosting company, inside the environment where you host your site, there is already XAMPP there. There is already an Apache and MySQL PHP server inside there already, ready to pull your work for you. So you don't need any local installation of XAMPP or WAMP or any of those servers. So I want you to understand that basic, what basically happens there. Okay, with that, we'll call it a day for today. Basic introduction into PHP. Yeah, just like I said yesterday, any language you're using in the world, you understand, the go-to language for front end. Do you know what front end is? Front end is what your clients see when they look at your application, you understand? Not your database and the business logic that you have. So once you're developing a front end, JavaScript is the go-to language. And that is why you must learn it. You understand? You may not go so deep in it, but just learn the basic syntax and how the libraries and frameworks work. The most important framework, popular framework that library that people are using to build front end now is React. And React is a JavaScript library. So JavaScript is important, no matter the language you're going to be building. You understand? In as much as you can use it to do everything, you understand, as a programmer. But even if you don't enjoy it, you don't want to go deep into it, just learn it just for front end design. It's not a must that you must use it, but I'm just saying that it's so popular that it's important. Yeah? So because of this, let's say now you apply for a job and they picked you because you're so good in Python. You understand? It's most likely that that company that picked you, they are already using React as their front end. And they will expect you as the versatile developer that you are to be able to do something. You understand? Though in most big companies, there is division of level. You say you're Python, they will just keep you into backend. You just focus on it. You understand? But for the benefits of just having the knowledge, you can just pick it out. But Python is the easiest and very versatile, very effective. And that's why we are concentrating on Python, you understand? But that will not prevent us from time to time touching the other languages that you may use if you get into work environment. Are we clear on this? Just like we did WordPress. I'm not training you guys to become WordPress developers, you understand? But I know that from time to time, in your journey towards becoming that developer that you want to be, you need tools that can fetch you money at instance, isn't it? Because it's those, you have to, the more experience you get, the more you get into what you're doing. You understand? So WordPress as a tool will help you build out a website very fast. Start getting something while you continue building your skills in your Python to get you to the length or to that point that you want to be in as a developer. Ibrahim, did I answer your question very well? Okay. Any other question? Yeah. PHP simply stands for that P is PHP. You understand? Hyper processor. Okay. Any other further question? Okay, so with that, we'll just close up and we'll continue later.